Hey everyone, John Henry here from School of Trade, and today we're going to be taking a look at a channel short trade here on crude oil. Let me get my stop in place here, 76.40. We'll just go above this high for right now. Now I'm going in 3 contracts, and really the downside, it looks absolutely beautiful on this trade right now. Let me get my targets in place first, and then we'll talk about what we're looking at here. So from my entry to my stop, actually, we'll just go to the high of that candle. My stop's just a buffer. Looking at 75.98 for that first target there. So we'll place our target there. That's one contract. Second contract back down to 75.77. I may adjust that one a little bit just because of the fact that, we've got the channel lows down here and we may just kind of ricochet off of those. But we'll kind of have to wait to see what crude oil wants to do when it gets down to that point. But right now, there's a lot of reasons that I really, really love how this is looking. First of all, we have this little kind of channel that's working its way down here. We've broken out of that channel, so just by that alone, the fact that we're coming back to the EMA, and you can see this almost looks kind of like consolidation through anyway. We're coming off the highs of that consolidation and the channel. I'm expecting it to revisit those lows. Now, it may revisit those lows and just bounce right back up. That's why I'm taking my first target off 1-to-1. That will get my initial target off, then I can lock my stop in. But if it does decide to fall, this is the type of setup that you're really looking for a potential collapse. I mean, we had this big spike down, consolidates for a little while. I'm expecting a continued push right back down again. This is almost kind of like an inverted flag, if you will. Normally a flag would go up this way. This actually has a spike down and then a push lower. So I'm expecting that aggression to be taken out again and another push down. And that's kind of what we're seeing right here. Now the setup itself, let me get the executions out of the way there, is setting up really, really nicely to the downside. Again, we've got almost this consolidation through here. If you draw a line in the highs and lows, you can see we're kind of ricocheting back and forth between there. Now normally I would like to take a little bit of profit off at those lows, but because of the channel in itself, I'd rather look for a bigger target, especially getting 1-to-1, and go down to those channel lows again, see if you can retest these lows, maybe even hover around them, but potentially break below them and get a stronger push down. So I'm in short right now, 3 contracts, 76.19. The risk is relatively large, that's why I'm only on 3 contracts. First target's coming off at 1-to-1, that'll be 21 ticks. Second target, if it can go down there, right now, again, this one's kind of variable because of the channel lows, but if it does get off there, that'll be 42. And the final target down at the lows here will be 63. So we're looking at a relatively nice drive lower if it can get that push down. And again, some of these are kind of tentative. It depends on what the market wants to do here. We may kind of move them around a little bit, but right now, if we do get those filled, we're looking at 21, 42, and 63 for 126 to the downside if it can hit those areas. Now, this one may take a little bit of time just because it is a minute chart. It can take some time based on that fact alone. So we'll be back in a little bit and see if they want to drop this lower and start hitting some of our targets. All right, we're back. We're taking a look right now at crude oil. I've got my stop locked in really, really tight. I'm only giving it 1 tick of risk, but we're right back at these consolidation lows, which is why I'm tightening it up a little bit. I need to see this break down, and oh, there we go. We got that target filled. And again, because of that consolidation, I need to see this break down. I can't have it just kind of flirting around with that consolidation and then bounce back up and stop me out. So I locked out quite a bit of the risk already, and now what I can do is I can just move my target, or my stop rather, back to break even. Probably just get a couple ticks out of it too. Break even plus 1 or 2 or so. And now we're looking farther to the downside. We got that first target filled without much of a problem. It took a little while though. It took about 20 minutes to get down there, and that's kind of indicative of using minute charts regardless, but this pattern itself, there's going to be a lot of confusion, but once one of these sides give up, whether it's the buyers or the sellers, out of this consolidation, you're expecting a really large move in one direction or the other. Whether it's up, now it doesn't really make that much of a difference because we've already got our target out, but if it does move down, we could be, fixing to make a pretty big move to the downside here if it wants to drop. So, oh yeah, and look at that volume coming right in too. So that volume comes in, we do test those channel lows. Again, conservatively, you're going to take a target off there, but because that happens so quickly, we can see that volume dumping in. I'm willing to hold on to it to go for that 2-to-1 and see if it wants to push back down to this next target here at 75.77. So that's the volume that we're looking for. We have the volume coming in and backing our position. Now we just need to see a little bit of continuation, let it drop a little bit farther, see if we can start filling some of these targets to the downside. 21 ticks in so far, looking to fill the next one at 42. All right, we're coming back down to, there we go. Another burst in volume. I was just about to actually move my target up a little bit more. It looked like we were getting really hung up at these channel lows, but now they just kind of cracked through them. Just another really big burst in volatility coming in here. Lots of volume. Now, when we're looking at the downside here, now we're breaking below a channel that honestly really shouldn't happen unless it's a really aggressive move. And because of that, I really don't want to see it come back. So I'm going to lock my stop in a little bit more. We do have two targets out, one at 42, one at 21. Now we've just got this final one just kind of to see how far it wants to go now. You could probably trail this out, just put it at, 100 ticks if you'd like to and see if you want to go. But the fact that, in a little bit here, well, not in a little bit, we have inventories coming out in about an hour. So with that around the corner, there is going to be a lot of pre-positioning. You're going to get a lot of volume coming in. So I'm more apt to just leave it at a 3-1 versus my stop and just lock my stop in a little bit closer and see if I can trail out that final one. You can see they're still really, really fist fighting with that channel low. So what we'll do is we'll give it some time, see if it wants to drop lower. Hopefully another big burst, kind of that triple burst down in those big volume candles, and get that next target down here. We seem to be constantly getting filled on these big spikes lower. The first target was a big spike, second target was a big spike. See if they can get that third one with a big spike and drop a little bit lower. So two targets out so far, trailing the stop. See if we can get the final target hit filled. All right, we're continuing to get this really, really big downward volume here. Because of this kind of next spike that we're seeing right here, I'm going to be more aggressive and lock my stop down here just a couple ticks above this candle's high. I really don't want to see this reverse. The last thing I want to see is for us to come all the way down here, get to 58. I mean, that's 2 ticks away from my target. So it's not quite at 1, but at this point we've broken below the channel low. I'm expecting this to be, possibly another really aggressive move down, but I really don't want to give anything back in case it wants to bounce higher from here. So right now we're up 55, 56 ticks or so. For our stop, if we do get stopped out, it's at 38 ticks, but our stop is right back at those channel lows again. So just looking for a little bit more continuation. I kind of want to see if crude wants to get that last little spike down here. We had that big spike that got the first target, big spike that got the second one, and now potentially another big spike to fill that third one. We're only about 2 ticks away, so let's see if they have what it takes to get that next little kind of bump lower. Might be able to fill that move down all in one shot. 3 candles in, obviously that little bit of fluctuation it had at first, it took about 20 minutes to go down there, and then all of a sudden it just dumped. So there we go, got that target filled. Next big spike lower again. You can see those kind of like the 3 amigos almost, where you got the first one, the second one, and the third one coming in. Based on just that, you'd almost expect this just to come back into the range a little bit. It's really overextended. It's actually falling even farther. So again, you could put your target all the way out to 100 ticks from that entry. 76.19, you could look for 75.19, see if it wants to fall. For me personally, with what we're seeing so far, I really don't think that's the best option, but you can definitely try to hold on to it if you'd like. But that's going to be the trade for me. 126 ticks, $1,260 on 3 contracts. Just a beautiful trade. Big volume coming in ahead of those numbers at 11 o'clock for the inventories. So if you have any questions about it, feel free to send an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com, and as always, we'll catch you next time.